Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you guys are in the world. I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. I apologize again in advance if you guys can hear all this, noise in here. One, it's rainy season again here in Thailand, and two, there's a lot of birds around where I'm at. So I'm hearing chirping like crazy. Anyways, we got so much to cover, guys. Like, there's a lot of news that I didn't get to cover yesterday. I did make two videos yesterday. One was about basically some of the big news that's coming out from Saudi Arabia, which we're going to be covering a little more in depth in this video because I think that was the biggest news for the week. I don't know if anything can top that. Maybe some more better news is going to come out from Trump's visit to the UAE today. The United Arab Emirates, very rich. They're loaded with money, and they definitely want, to modernize and, upgrade their whole city, right? They want to be a very technologically advanced city, Dubai and Abu Dhabi. So I would definitely keep an eye on that trip and what's to come of it. I don't know if the tech CEOs are going to be following, Trump to the United Arab Emirates. I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if they also go there. Again, this was so out of left field. I don't think anybody saw this coming. Everyone was focused on the whole China-U.S. trade war, and this stuff to Saudi Arabia, to the Middle East, huge, right? Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia. These three countries are some of the biggest players in that whole region. Big players, not just, government wise or country wise, but, financial markets, right? Investment, money. They have a lot of energy, of course, right? They produce a lot of oil. So, Kuwait is right over there as well. They produce a lot of oil. That whole region, I think, makes up OPEC. So again, very interesting stuff. So we're going to be covering a lot of different news. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. All right, so let's go here. All right, cool. So guys, we're gonna be starting the stream now. So if you're new, be sure to hit that like. All right, let me know down below in the chat if you're around. So let's get started. All right, so this is the portfolio as it stands today. Nothing too extravagant here. All right, nothing too extravagant. I am down. Let's see, from here, $580,000 is the book value for the portfolio. Right now we're sitting at 562,000. I am using a lot of margin, especially for the Robinhood account. So I'm going to give you guys a deeper dive into the portfolios at the conclusion of this stream at the very end. All right. But I'm only down $18,000. So that's really nice, right? We've been recovering very nicely. Again, some of you guys were rocking with me when we saw this portfolio down by $70,000, right? That was right after Liberation Day. And we've just been on this really tough climb to the top, right? This long hike back to the top. So it looks like markets are starting to recover. We're looking good. And as long as we can continue getting a slew of more good news, the markets are going to do great, right? The markets are going to recover. All right. So that's just a quick portfolio update. So I want to cover the some news that came out about Tesla. And this is really huge. Steffi says strategies over spreadsheets every day of the week, bro. Profits over screenshots. Although I was taking a lot of screenshots yesterday. But anyways, this is a video of Tesla coming out with their new humanoid robot. And this is massive news. This sent the stock flying overnight, right? They had a huge gain. And it's crazy because, again, during the first quarter, they missed so much. They missed out on so much revenue, right? They couldn't produce enough cars. They're switching over to the new Model Y. They're competing with BYD in China. Their sales in Europe is dropping. All this bad news is going on with Tesla, right? And then Elon Musk, of course, first it started off with, the I love you salute, and then it turned into him running Doge, and then people vandalizing Teslas and vandalizing Tesla dealerships, and then vandalizing Tesla, electrical stations. So not a good look for the company, right? But it looked like things started to turn around. He left Doge, or he's leaving Doge. I think he already left Doge, and now he's headed back to Tesla. and then they came out with this, briefing or whatever, quarterly earnings briefing, and the stock just went up, even though the fundamentals of the company were bad. It's just a fact that Elon Musk is headed back to Tesla, and that got a lot of people excited again. So he went back to Tesla, and the stock was still in a lot of trouble, right? But he went back, shares jumped. So anyone who took advantage of that, congrats to you, right? Shout out to you guys for taking advantage of those dips in the market, those dips in the shares for Tesla. But then now on some even more news, he releases, or Tesla releases, the humanoid robot. So we're just going to take a quick look at this. And again, once they posted this video, shares of the company, continue to climb. And then he was also in Saudi Arabia, which we'll cover here in just a second. So let's just take a look at this video. And I hope this doesn't blow out your eardrums. So that is the new Tesla humanoid robot. And this thing is crazy. Imagine, so there's a couple thoughts going on. One is, the application for this robot, right? Is the application of this robot, doesn't matter what it can do, right? It can replace a human at this point, or the possibility of replacing a human. So it's just the application of this technology is far reaching. And I think this is, again, more enthusiasm for Tesla, more enthusiasm for Tesla holders. So anyone buying the stock, again, congratulations. If you were able to buy the dip, this thing is definitely, Tesla is definitely going to continue soaring. But there was also some other news, right? And I hope this doesn't blow out your eardrums, guys. I'm trying to lower the volume. So I really hope this doesn't blow out your eardrums. But I just thought this video went really, really hard, especially with the music. So we'll just take a look. Sam Altman, Lisa Su, Jensen Huang, Larry Fink, Palantir. So that's it. There was a lot of tech giants in Saudi Arabia this week. And again, this was completely out of left field. I don't think anyone was really expecting this to happen. Everyone was focused on the whole US-China trade deal. And this came out of left field, and this sent the stock market absolutely ripping to new highs for the NASDAQ, and definitely for all these individual tech companies. All right, so I'm going to cover a lot of what came from this meeting because, again, President Donald Trump is headed to the United Arab Emirates, where, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, where he's going to be talking with their leaders. He just finished his wrap up in Qatar. So he's visiting all those Middle Eastern countries, all those power players, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Dubai. These are people, or not people, but these are countries with money, right? A lot of money. Kuwait, I'm sure is somewhere up there, but again, I wouldn't even want to visit Kuwait. I've been there plenty of times. Don't want to go back there. All right. So, along with that, some news I didn't cover previously because I took a day off. Annual inflation rate hit 2.3% in April, right? So still a little elevated above the Fed 2% goal. But again, it's not as high as it used to be, and it's coming in less. So this is a good sign. This is a good sign. But again, we don't know what the impact of the tariffs are. So we'll have to wait maybe a couple of months, maybe next reading next month or the month after before we understand what the tariffs, if any, impact they have on inflation. So this is really what's a lot of people are waiting on. And I think I don't suspect that the tariff stuff that we had going on is really going to put inflation any higher. So a lot of food and energy costs went down. Things are doing great. So for the American consumer, this is a good thing. All right. So, man, I got so many tabs to cover. Okay, so this was the big news that came out from that Saudi trip with President Donald Trump and his, entourage of big tech CEOs. The United States secured a $600 billion defense, energy, and tech investment commitment from Saudi Arabia. All right, they're going to continue pouring Saudi Arabia. They're going to continue pouring, money into U.S. investment. This is a good thing, all right? Especially defense, right? Defense, energy, data centers, power plants, things like that. Defense, I mentioned Palantir. Tech investment, you're going to have AMD, NVIDIA, and even SMCI, all right? Even Supermicro is tied up in there, which I'll cover here in just a moment. But you also have other semiconductor companies that could benefit from this as well. So the White House on Tuesday announced commitments from Saudi Arabia to invest $600 billion in aerospace and defense, energy, and security deals, marking the largest set of commercial agreements so far between the two countries. I think Saudi Arabia is purchasing like 100 and something Boeing jets, right? And these Boeing jets are pretty damn expensive. So China rejected an order for all these Boeing jets. So President Trump kind of just went around and just started selling the Boeing jets to other countries, right? So I think Vietnam picked up a few. I think Qatar Airways picked up a few. And he's just been selling them to everyone else. So this is crazy that he's making these kind of deals. And this is a good tailwind for a company like Boeing, all right, that produces these airplanes. There's really only a few, if any. I think there's only two major players in this realm. One of them is Boeing, and the other one is a UK-based company. I forget their name right now, but it is a UK-based company, and they make most of the jumbo jet liners. So it's really, really cool. So yeah, it's just more and more good news on U.S. investment, more good news for tech companies. There's also a new tranche of deals, including a $20 billion in investment commitment from Saudi Arabian company Datavault to build AI data centers and energy infrastructure in the United States. Again, more money coming in the United States to build data centers, energy infrastructure. This is good. All right, this plays on the whole artificial intelligence thesis, the thing I keep talking about and I won't shut up about, but this is part of that, all right? If you want it, it's still, in my opinion, very early to still get in on the AI thesis, investing in companies that are in alignment with artificial intelligence, whether they're providing chips, whether they're providing infrastructure, hardware, or the software. Companies like Palantir, companies like Google or Amazon, right? Because these are the hyperscalers at a bigger level. So again, this is a really, really good sign. So many companies are going to benefit from this, all right? Especially if you're holding just a standard S&P 500 index, the Mag 7, the highest exposure in that index, or NASDAQ, QQQ, if you're holding those things, you're still going to do very well. You're still going to be able to take a piece of that pie. So just wanted to cover this. AMD, all right, so shout out to any AMD holders. They unveiled a new $6 billion share buyback program. This is huge. This is good, all right? We, as investors, should love share buybacks, all right? AMD announced a new $6 billion share buyback program on Wednesday. Our expanded share repurchase program reflects the board's confidence in AMD's strategic direction, growth prospects, and the ability to consistently generate strong free cash flow, said AMD Chair and CEO Dr. Lisa Su. We remain committed to disciplined capital allocation and driving strong shareholder returns, including investing in our leadership product portfolio to drive growth while returning capital to owners. So the reason why you care about this, or you should care about this, companies who do this should be viewed as responsible, because what they're doing is instead of issuing out new shares, right? Instead of issuing out new shares, which is driving basically, like if you look at a company as a pie, let's say they have 1 million shares, right? Every investor has, let's say 100 shares. And when they start issuing out more shares, that's dilutive to other shareholders. So now your share, when they issue out another million, it just gets cut in half, right? Think of it that way. But by them buying their shares back, they're retaining more of their company, they're retaining more of their equity. So that's good for you as a shareholder. So that's the way you really want to look at this kind of stuff. And again, I love companies that do share buyback programs. I would recommend, if you don't know too much about this, to look into share buybacks because it is a really good thing for companies. All right. So moving on, NVIDIA was in the news as well. They're probably one of the biggest benefactors from all of this, all right? NVIDIA, AMD, top beneficiaries from Saudi Arabian deals, but Broadcom and Marvell will benefit as well, according to Bank of America. All right, NVIDIA and AMD are likely the biggest beneficiaries from yesterday's AI deals with Saudi Arabia, but Broadcom and Marvell, or Marvel, whatever, should also benefit, Bank of America said. All right, so again, long semiconductors. Very long semiconductors, whether you're investing into, the VanEck SMH, ticker SMH, which is a semiconductor ETF, or if you're investing into, let's say, what's the other one? There's VanEck, and then there's another one. It's at the top of mind. I can't think of it right now. It's not Chippy, right? What's the other one? Dang it. SMH and SOXQ. Thank you. SOXQ. So SOXQ would be another great one to look at. It's an ETF that holds a bunch of semiconductors, right? These ETFs are near peers, and me personally, I hold the YieldMax Semiconductor Option Income ETF, Chippy, right? So that those are all near peers in my opinion. So if Broadcom and Marvel are gonna benefit from this, then you can bet that the other companies are as well. All right, or the other ETFs are gonna rise. So that is really good news. Again, this is just being invested in tech right now is the absolute, I don't know what to call it, the bee's knees, I suppose. But being invested in technology stocks right now, you're not gonna regret this in the short term or even the long term. Definitely not the long term, right? If you choose right, of course, not financial advice, etc. Blah, blah, blah. All right, more news from the Saudi Arabian trip. I haven't seen anything from Qatar yet, and I'm waiting for the president to wrap up his trip to the UAE, because I can guarantee there's going to be some banger deals there. The United Arab Emirates is modernizing like crazy. If you've ever visited Dubai, it is one of the fastest growing tech hubs. Everything is smart. Everything is technology driven. It is a great country to visit. It is definitely a sight to see for any traveler. So Dubai is definitely worth it if you guys can get out there. Just be careful not going in the summer months. It's hot as hell. But anyways, Saudi Arabia AI deals were bullish eye opener for tech investors from Wedbush Securities. Again, we cover Wedbush on this channel a lot of times. We talk about Dan Ives. He always has this flamboyant shirt on. But anyways, let's quickly go over this. The number of artificial intelligence focused deals signed yesterday between U.S. tech companies and Saudi Arabia is a bullish eye opener for investors, with the prospects of more to come, Wedbush Securities said. And of course, more to come it will, because this is a door that's opening up. There was a whole thing about this whole AI diffusion rule where, the United States would not allow companies to sell chips to certain countries, or they would cap them and say, hey, you can only sell 1,000 chips here, 1,000 chips there. And, they had this tier list of countries, but it looks like that is either no longer the case, or that is being repealed or something, right? With all these new deals being made. So again, this is going to be a huge tailwind for AMD holders and NVIDIA holders. And secretly, under the hood, Palantir. Palantir is definitely going to benefit from this. All right, because again, Saudi Arabia, they have a huge financial services sector. Qatar, massive financial services sector. And the same thing for the United Arab Emirates. So just commercially from those three countries, if Palantir can get into those markets, that's going to be huge. That's going to be really, really huge. The theme was clear in Riyadh. The AI revolution is coming to Saudi Arabia Kingdom, and Riyadh will be a major buyer of AI chips, software, autonomous robots, from Tesla, and data centers over the next decade. Analysts at the firm wrote in a note to clients, they see deals, those included signed by NVIDIA, Amazon, AMD, Cisco, and others, as a huge opportunity to expand the total addressable market for all things artificial intelligence. We believe the market opportunity in Saudi Arabia could over time add another $1 trillion to the broader global AI market in the coming years, and this dynamic is not being priced into the market and tech names in our view, the analyst explained. And then this will just be the beginning as tech players such as hyperscalers, think of Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Palantir, Tesla, and others see the game-changing artificial intelligence market opportunity in the Middle East, and we expect bigger AI deals on the horizon. So again, this is a great time still to get in. We're still at the, I don't know, I don't want to call it the bottom, the bottom floor or whatever, or ground floor. but this is still a good time to get in. All right, there's still a lot of these names that have not reached their all-time highs. Nvidia still has a little bit more to go before it reaches its previous highs. I think AMD as well. I know Palantir just broke new highs. Tesla obviously is one of the bigger ones that got hammered during Liberation Day and pretty much this year. So if you still want to hop in on those, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, those are all still available. All right. So really something to consider, really something to think about. There are some very popular ETFs out there right now. One of them is called MAGS from Roundhill. It's just exposure to the Magnificent Seven. So again, something to consider. All right, moving on. NVIDIA to provide chips to Saudi Arabia's AI firm Humane. U.S. may allow UAE to buy over 1 million chips. All right, so this is also the big one. NVIDIA will send semiconductors to Saudi Arabian AI company Humane for up to a 500 megawatt data center build out. All right, and I covered this in my earlier video, so I'm not going to go too much into it, but basically NVIDIA wants to sell their more advanced, more powerful GB300 Blackwell chips to this company, to this Humane artificial intelligence company. So this is, again, they are going to have demand. When I say they, I mean NVIDIA is going to have demand for years to come. Demand for their chips, demand for their products and services, demand for their, their research and development. They're killing it. They are absolutely killing it. And this is going to open up markets for NVIDIA. NVIDIA is going to be, I'm long NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA is just going to crush it. Humane CEO Tariq Amin said that the company will build a 1.9 gigawatt or gigawatts of data centers by 2030. So again, you still got to think long term, 4 to 10 years out. So 2025, we have 5 more years. So, but over time, you still have to couple this with the Stargate project, which is still ongoing, right? The Stargate project is a big push in a partnership between OpenAI, MGX, which is a Saudi Arabian-backed financial investment bank or service, and SoftBank from South Korea. They're committing, billions of dollars to artificial intelligence infrastructure in the United States. So again, this big deals, guys. This is happening all over the United States, and it's something you can't or shouldn't just shy away from. We're here to make money as investors, right? And this is, again, the story behind the AI thesis. All right, separately, the Trump administration is weighing an agreement which would allow the UAE to import more than 1 million advanced NVIDIA chips, citing people with the knowledge of the matter. The deal, and this was reported by Bloomberg, the deal, which is still being discussed and could change, which I think is going to change today, right? My time, because today is Thursday. Middle East is about, let's see, it's about 6 a.m. So, everyone's kind of waking up right now. But tomorrow, expect a slew of good news from the UAE. I can picture it, all right? I don't want to call it too early, but I can picture it. The deal, which is still being discussed, could change, would let the UAE import 500,000 of the most advanced chips on the market every year until 2027. 1/5 would be set aside for Abu Dhabi-based AI company G42, while the remaining would go to the U.S. companies building data centers in the country. Again, everyone was talking all this trash about AI, the data center bubble popped and data center demand going down, and no one wants to lease data centers. Microsoft is pulling out a data center, all this crap, right? Everyone was talking all this crap about data centers and AI being completely, the bubble popping. And look at this news, right? Other countries are investing billions of dollars into data centers and furthering their artificial intelligence ambitions, and they're going to be using NVIDIA, AMD, probably Supermicro, and the hyperscalers, Google, Amazon, Microsoft to accomplish this. Again, great time to be buying, guys. So over the lifetime of the agreement, G42 can buy computing capabilities equal to between 1 million and 1.5 million of NVIDIA's H100 chips. This number is about 4 times more than the G42 would have been allowed under the Biden-era chip export rule known as AI diffusion, which Trump plans to end, the report added. All right, so again, this is all really, really cool. Again, more of these big freaking financial firms were also there. BlackRock's Larry Fink was there. Blackstone's Steven Schwartzman was also there. So whenever you see these two giants in one room, you know some deals are about to be made. All right, BlackRock and Blackstone, these are two of the largest asset managers in the world. Okay, they manage like trillions of dollars. So definitely, anytime they do something, it's worth noting and keeping a data point in the back of your head. All right, so BlackRock has an infamous background. They're buying up all the houses in the United States, and it's making it harder for single families or it's making it harder for normal everyday families to buy houses. But again, whenever they make moves, it's worth noting and just keeping an eye on them. All right, so I just wanted to cover that piece. Nvidia, number 2 in market cap, $3.3 trillion. All right, they overtook Apple yesterday. If we look at Apple market cap, 3.17 trillion. So congratulations to all Nvidia holders, anyone investing in Nvidia. This is just, again, Nvidia is just absolutely dominating right now. We talked about very briefly in earlier streams about this whole idea of this new Mag 7, right? Not so much the Mag 7 itself or that these Mag 7 companies are going to get dethroned, but the next lineup of players, right? And I kind of labeled it myself, and it sounds cheesy as hell, but I call them the Titans. That's a play on words of AI, so Titans. Yeah, there you go. But anyways, I have this, thought that these companies, it's mostly going to be semiconductor companies with Palantir, right? I have that list. I publish it in the Discord. You guys can check it out. But yeah, I mean, I just think that these companies, these semiconductor companies are going to be all the rage for these next couple of years. At least I think so. Will Amazon, Apple, Google, all, the rest of the Mag 7 continue to be relevant? Of course, they're going to be relevant. Of course, they're still going to be making investors money. Of course, their shares are going to continue to increase in value, not financial advice. But, I think if you're looking for bargains, if you're looking for deals, you're going to have to look elsewhere. AMD was definitely a pick, right? Definitely one of the top picks for people because their shares got hammered so bad. And with all this slew of good news, they're going to start shipping out their chips to other countries. Again, this is seen as a huge positive for not just AMD, but for the semiconductor market as a whole. All right, moving on. AMD, speaking of AMD, they struck a $10 billion partnership with Saudi Arabian AI enterprise Humane. All right, we kind of covered this. I'm not going to go too deep into this, but basically AMD, along with NVIDIA, got some really good partnerships, really good deals with that Saudi Arabian-backed AI company Humane. All right, the companies plan to deploy 500 megawatts of AI compute capacity in Saudi Arabia over the next 5 years. Our investment with Humane is a significant milestone in advancing global AI infrastructure, said AMD CEO Lisa Su. Together, we are building a globally significant AI platform that delivers performance, openness, and reach at unprecedented levels. Sam Altman, Lisa Su, Michael Trader, and I forget his first name, Mr. Smith, who's a Microsoft, C-suite executive. Michael Trader is CoreWeave's CEO. These four were talking about this American artificial intelligence stack. It's going to be, the power is going to be American. The chips, semiconductors, AI infrastructure is going to be American, and the software to drive all this is going to be American, right? So they talk about this American AI stack, and this is pretty much a culmination of all of that. This is what that is. They're bringing the American AI stack to the Middle East, all right, and eventually to the rest of the world. Imagine Google. Google is used worldwide. Facebook is used worldwide. Instagram is used worldwide, right? These are companies. This is the same way that AI should be adopted in the future, or the way they think artificial intelligence is going to be adopted in the future. It's going to be American companies that are just being used all over, right? Think of like an Apple iPhone used all over the world, all right? So again, it's always American innovation that's driving this. So when people talk about, we should invest in China, China's doing so well, their technology is the best. Not really, in my opinion. I still will never bet against America. All right. This is not just another infrastructure play, says Tariq Amin. It's an open invitation to the world's innovators. All right. We are democratizing artificial intelligence at the compute level, ensuring that access to advanced AI is limited only by imagination, not by infrastructure. So again, really, really awesome news. We're at minute 30. I'm going to try to speed this up because we still got a lot more to go. Amazon Web Services signed a deal with the Saudi Arabian company to invest $5 billion into the country. Again, this is all with Humane. The deal, together with AWS's artificial intelligence infrastructure and servers, along with ultra cluster networks for faster AI training and inferences, AWS services and AI application services, yada, yada, yada. It's going to be all going to the Middle East. It's going to be offered to them. So again, it's another market that's opening up for AWS, which is really, really good. All right. So the deal comes as Amazon recently announced they plan to invest $4 billion in Chile, which I didn't even see. This is all new to me, along with further global expansion, including Saudi Arabia. Okay. So these hyperscalers, they're starting to reach out into all these other regions of the world, again, to help democratize artificial intelligence, to bring the American AI stack to the rest of the world. So again, this is just a good sign for any company that is involved with the AI thesis, right? All right, cool. So Supermicro in news. All right, so anyone who's holding SMCI, congrats to you guys. You guys know that I'm not a fan of them. I don't like them at all. But Supermicro stock rises on $20 billion Data Vault partnership. Okay, Supermicro jumped as much as 10% in pre-market trading on Wednesday as it entered a multi-year partnership agreement with a Saudi Arabian-based data center company. The deal, valued at $20 billion, is expected to fast-track delivery of ultra-dense GPU platforms and rack systems for Data Vault's hyperscale AI campuses in the kingdom, right? So this is for their, schools, is for their probably colleges and things like that. Supermicro, they build server racks, right? And they have a huge partnership with NVIDIA where they basically just include all of NVIDIA's GPUs into their hardware, and then they ship that hardware wherever it needs to go, right? So it's like an all-in-one kind of product. But that is, a big good sign for Supermicro. I don't know if they have a partnership with AMD. If they have a partnership with AMD, I think that will really, really shoot this stock up quite a bit, right? Because now SMCI is just partnered with two of the largest semiconductor chip companies in the world. So I think if that partnership was to materialize, that would be a really good sign for SMCI holders. If you're invested into the YieldMax SMCY version or any other, bull shares or things like that, good for you. But we are excited. Our SMCI says we are excited to partner with Data Vault to continue expanding our manufacturing efforts in the United States. By working together, we will bring cutting-edge AI and compute infrastructure, enabling the kingdom's vision of becoming a global hub for technology and innovation. Right, the new tranche of deals includes a $20 billion investment commitment from Data Vault to build AI data centers and energy infrastructure in the United States. So again, just more and more stuff relating to building data centers. So much for AI data centers being dead, right? And that demand going away. All right. So again, Oracle, Google, AMD, these are going to be the bigger people that are going to benefit from things like this, because Oracle is a part of that Stargate project. And Stargate, I think, is near completion of their first data center, which is huge. It's a massive data center that's located in Abilene, Texas, if I'm not mistaken. But it is a really big data center. So cool there. CoreWeave was in the news, and they just completed their earnings call. So I got to go back and actually go through it. But yeah, I just wanted to put this out there. CoreWeave is a partner with NVIDIA. It's NVIDIA backed, and they have a partnership with, or a contract with OpenAI for, I think, like $12 billion. So this company IPO'd recently, a lot of bad press around it, right? Primarily because, the CEO and their executives were kind of dumping shares before the IPO, supposedly. So they were dumping the shares. This used to be an Ethereum mining company, but since, artificial intelligence relies heavily on GPUs, they kind of pivoted away from Ethereum mining, and then they started doing artificial intelligence, and then, NVIDIA started backing them. So this is a data center. It'll be interesting to see if CoreWeave is going to be involved in any of those future projects. Again, it's a company I'm keeping an eye on because it's going to give you more insight into data center demand and data centers for, NVIDIA backed or NVIDIA specific, like GPUs, that kind of niche. All right, so this is really good stuff too. All right, JP Morgan lowers recession probability after Trump's tariff truce with China. Okay, I'm sure you guys probably saw this already. I did mention that, once those or after those tariffs came down, probably all these companies are going to start revising their probability, their forecast for a recession. So JP Morgan was the second one that came out. The first one was Goldman Sachs. So again, they're just revising their forecast. Again, you take this with a grain of salt. Okay, don't freak out about this. You still should practice, good, prudent investing, defensive, that type of thing. Goldman Sachs lifts their 2025 growth forecast, cuts recession odds. So again, just more, I guess, good news if you want to call it that. This is just their forecast, all right? Nothing exciting here. The firm raises growth forecast for the fourth quarter of 2025 to 1%. I think they gave their growth forecast a 0.3%. So 1% is nice from the previously expected 0.5%. Well, there you go. And simultaneously reduced the probability of a recession occurring within the next 12 months to 35%. All right. So again, we got to wait to see the impact of tariffs during next earnings season when all these companies start reporting stuff. Until then, it's going to be business as usual, DCA as usual, and just, keeping an eye on the markets, keeping an eye on the news. All right. This is just a real quick. This is Humane.ai. You guys can check this out. This is the Saudi Arabian AI company that has all those partnerships. There's not a whole lot of information on this. They're just talking about, implementing their full AI stack, all the stuff, and then making it easier for probably everyday people to get access to it. Sam Altman, CEO of ChatGPT or OpenAI, excuse me, he. During the committee hearing, Sam Altman mentioned that it's hard for AI companies to release in other countries, right? It's hard to release features in other countries because they got to jump through regulation hoops. So I think with this partnership, it should make it a little more easier for them to breach into that region. So again, that's just a good sign. OpenAI is not a publicly traded company, which kind of sucks, but hopefully maybe in the future at some point they will. That would be really, really cool. But they want to maintain their, good for humanity structure or philosophy. There's like some internal bickering at OpenAI. They're restructuring to become a less it's going to be a blend of for profit and for betterment of humanity. It's kind of a weird structure. But yeah, that's going to be OpenAI, and this is Humane. All right, guys. Whew. That was a lot to cover. That was a lot of news. I hope you guys enjoyed that so far. I got to take a sip of coffee because my throat is absolutely coarse right now. All right. Just checking the chat. Shannon says a Tesla robot is remote controlled or it's not that impressive. No, I think this was without any human interaction. If I remember, I think it was Dan from It's a Wealthy Life had posted it in the chat, but he also mentioned that that Tesla robot, they did the first trials without any human control, anything like that. It was all completely wirelessly, whatever. Like they I don't know. I guess they didn't have a human actually controlling it or in a suit actually controlling it. Because during their first event, when they introduced those Tesla humanoid robots, they're serving like desserts and things like that. Those were actually controlled by humans, right? Those were actually controlled. But this one that's doing the dance and everything else, apparently this one is no human interaction whatsoever. So if that is true, that is really, really cool. Because the application seem like endless. You could have them freaking serving, food, coffee, manufacture, like Amazon warehouses. Imagine if it's just a bunch of Tesla robots running around. Like that's going to piss off so many people. But again, that Tesla robot is really, really cool. It's really awesome technology. And I'm surprised that they came out with it as fast as they did, because you have other companies that have been involved in robotics and they're not even close to what they can do with the Tesla bot. Like companies like Boston Dynamics, I think. They have their own robot models, their own humanoid model and things like that. But, again, they can't hold a candlestick to freaking Tesla. So it won't be long before they start strapping it with an AK-47 or an M16 and then a bunch of, weapons and then sending those onto the battlefield. Hopefully not. That's like Terminator level, that's like Terminator style like stuff. Imagine Imagine a Tesla bot. Imagine this thing holding you up, right? or shooting at you. Like, this is just crazy. and it's controlled by Palantir. Like, it'd be wild. It'd be absolutely wild. You better say thank you to ChatGPT more often, because that's probably what's gonna help you, from them not shooting you. Anyways, let me move on. All right, guys, let me look at the poll. So we had a poll today, and the question was, if you could own one company for 5 years, which one would it be? 25% of you went with Tesla. 25% of you went with Palantir. 8% of you went with AMD, and 42% of you went with NVIDIA. For me, this is a really hard one. I'm not even sure. It'd be a split between NVIDIA and Palantir, to be quite honest. Just based on what I know right now, I would probably lean towards NVIDIA, because it's easier to, the adoption of NVIDIA chips is easier than the adoption of Palantir software. So I would probably go with NVIDIA. Again, you just buy the rack, you buy the hardware, you hook it up, right? There's no real like craziness to it. Whereas with Palantir, you gotta, train an entire workforce. You gotta get rid of an entire workforce, and you have to there's a whole learning curve for using Palantir, so I don't know. I think it'd be easier for NVIDIA to be sold over Palantir, because again, Palantir is, you're going to have to train a whole workforce on how to use it. But yeah, NVIDIA, definitely. So that's my answer for that question. All right, moving on to the markets. We're at minute 41. So going to go through the markets, and then we'll do a little portfolio update. All right, so nope, that's not it. Shannon says, I didn't have the money in my account when it hit the 80s, missed out on that. And speaking of AMD, yeah, I mean, I never bought AMD. Speaking of AMD and NVIDIA, there is something that came out. Let's see if we just do this. I think it's from Amplify ETFs. I think it's from Amplify. It's staked NVIDIA, AMD. I think that's what it's called. Let's see if we could find it. No, maybe it's not. Let's see. Tidal Finance Group. So Tidal, huge ETF manager out there. They help create a lot of ETFs. So more popular. They're with a lot of the yield max stuff, but they're actually involved in a lot of other ones that are kind of interesting. But they're also involved with Defiance. We covered this before, but in case you didn't see that, there is, right here. There is staked. I'm calling it staked. I don't know what the STKD is. Maybe it's striked. I have no idea, but staked 100% Bitcoin and gold. And then there's 100% NVIDIA and 100% AMD, right? Ticker LAYS. So this one's, you can get exposure to both instead of buying one or the other. And that might be good, right? That might be a good thing for investors who want to just get exposure to the best in class and the best, players. So way back in the day, and I'm talking probably 20, as far as I know, maybe they existed before this, but I don't know. But from 2017 to, I want to say 2021, right? There's this thought of pairing, right? You pair stocks, and then more to the point. When covered call ETFs, they were very limited. There wasn't as many as they are today, but there was a couple popular ones, right? There was QYLD, XYLD, and RYLD, right? S&P 500, QQQ, and Russell 2000. But a lot of people in these dividend investing groups would say you should pair QYLD with its underlier, right? QYLD with QQQ, and you should pair XYLD with the S&P 500, right? So you should own SPY and you should own XYLD. And there was a debate and an argument whether this made sense or not, or should use the dividend income to build up those other positions in those index funds. So the idea of pairing is it's not new, but I've never seen ETFs that actually did that, where they just have two holdings. So these are really, really interesting. You have Bitcoin and gold, MSTR and coin, right? And that one is really interesting to me. NVIDIA, AMD, SMCI, and NVIDIA, right? Again, this is a pair made in heaven. This is a partnership. You have Uber and Tesla. This one I don't know about, and I don't think these are are out yet. I don't know about this one or this one, but I know I did see the Nvidia and AMD and the Bitcoin and gold one. Those are definitely out. These are the tickers in case you're interested. Again, this website is titlefinancialgroup.com. You guys can check this out. There's a lot of cool ETFs in here that I didn't even know were out. So definitely worth seeing. All right. So S&P 500, we ended 10 basis points for the day in the green. I'll take it. Not exactly, you know, the high 2 or 3% that we've been used to these last couple of days, but I will take 10 basis points. All right. The NASDAQ 100, we are up 57 basis points. Again, almost 0.5%. This is still good. Really choppy today, but still really good. Still ended in the green. All right. Bitcoin still hovering above 100,000, right? I think it's been hovering like back and forth again. Yeah. So yeah, it dropped down between to 101,000 and it's kind of just been hovering at, I don't know, I guess 102 to 105,000. So it's kind of just in that sweet spot. Again, I'm not a huge Bitcoin crypto follower. I want to include more news about crypto, but it's just, I don't understand a bunch of it. And I don't know. It's just not something I'm very passionate about, but definitely, you know, if you're a Bitcoin holder, good for you. Congratulations. MSTR, whatever, Misty, or a Bitcoin ETF, or you hold the actual coin in a wallet. Good for you. Right. Will these see greener days? There's a lot of people talking about this is headed to 200K by the end of the year. I don't know. That would be wild if it heads to 200K. All right. It seems like the whole Bitcoin winter thing kind of just came and went. You know, it was here for like a week or for like a month during Liberation Day. And then it just disappeared. And then Bitcoin just went on this like crazy run up. So who knows what's going to happen, right? MSTR, MicroStrategy, was on the verge of, you know, probably a financial collapse. And now, hey, they're doing well. So who knows? Gold had an outflow, right? Had a decent outflow, down 31 basis points. Again, sorry to all the gold holders. You guys are getting a little bit cooked. There's just been a lot of outflows recently. Right? 6%. Okay. 6% for gold. Still the best performing asset year to date, up 19.3%. All right. I see we got a channel legend in here, Citizen of the Year, saying UNH to the moon. I should have covered UNH today. Maybe I will in another stream. But yeah, this is a stock that's been absolutely brutalized. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah. Holy crap, that's bad. Yeah, so here's that 50% drop. And then another drop. Oh my God, that's so bad. Hey man, rip to anyone that holds UNH. Long term, I don't know too much about UNH. I mean, it is one of the major, you know, players in the space, in the health insurance game. So maybe it'll return. They have a new CEO. Well, not a new one, but they had their old CEO from like 2006 to 2017. Come back. So he's at the helm again for UNH. So maybe he'll be able to turn this ship around and then, you know, see greener days. But again, it's not going to be a quick one. There's some analysts out there that's saying UNH to recover is probably going to be like a multi-year, you know, theme. It's gonna take some time, but who knows if it's going to go for new lows. I don't understand the health insurance, healthcare sector as much. I don't understand United Health Group's, you know, what they do with their offering and things like that. So I don't really cover them, but you know, maybe this might be a good time. Just be very careful, guys, because SMCI had something similar, right? Everyone was shouting. Well, I don't know if anyone's shouting about United Health Group, but everyone was shouting when SMCI had a massive like dip and was like, oh, this is a generational wealth building opportunity. This is a great company, you know, blah, 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 blah. And it just continued to dip lower. So just be careful is all I'm saying. Shannon says Marcos Milas or whatever his name is just did a daily pay ETF review called T-Spy. Check it out. I will definitely check that out. Let me make a mental note there. G-Bro, welcome back, man. You just got here. Awesome. Well, hey, welcome back. All right. You might have to catch up on some of the earlier stream. We were talking a lot about NVIDIA, AMD, artificial intelligence, and basically the three countries that President Trump is visiting right now: Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar, and all the deals and all the money being made from there, especially for all these tech giants, right? AMD, NVIDIA, SMCI, and Microsoft, well, not Microsoft, Tesla, and everyone else, right? There's too long of a list of names. All right, so real quick, the 10-year treasury spiking up like crazy. Again, I think we just lost hope at this point. REITs are getting cooked. As a matter of fact, I know that because I checked my portfolio today. We were up at freaking like $90, and then it's just been dropping like crazy, right? I think this was that spike, yeah, and then it's just been heading for lows. Down 3%. My REIT portfolio is getting absolutely demolished right now, but it is what it is. Just got to deal with it and move on. Real quick, I just want to share this for people who are invested in REITs, right? Because this news does impact people who invest in REITs, right? Not just real estate, not just physical real estate. But global confidence in the United States commercial real estate drops sharply amid policy turbulence. All right, there's cautious optimism for 2025 from outside foreign investors into the United States. Roughly 180 institutional investors, pension funds, asset managers, other organizations across 25 countries, which together oversee $3 trillion in assets under management, has been cautiously optimistic at the end of last year regarding commercial real estate in the United States and investing. About 42% of those surveyed had a negative outlook, for this year, 2025. 80% said global political tensions and changes in the economic alignments are the greatest threat to the safe investment, and that is true. Tariffs, they increase the costs of everything, right? So to build a house, you need wood, you need copper, you need rubber, you need all these you need glass, you need cement, you need you need a bunch of stuff in order just to build a simple house. So all those costs go up, right? And when cost goes up, so does services, right? The handyman, the contractor, the home builder, they have to build all this stuff, right? And then you still have elevated interest rates. So again, that's just a recipe for disaster. That's a recipe for pessimism investing in commercial real estate. Top factors influencing the United States commercial real estate investment outlook were geopolitics at 20%, trade and tariffs at 20, interest rates at 14, inflation at 13, deregulation at 9, debt at 7, affordability at 6, migration trends at 6, energy ecosystem at 3, and climate change, which at 2%. But the most favored asset classes right now, multifamily, right? Apartments, large apartments. I covered on this channel, like Avalon Bay Communities is a favorite of mine. Avalon Bay Communities is a multifamily REIT. You have industrial logistics. If I had to pick one, I would go with Prologis PLD. Another popular one that I don't personally like is Stag Industrial. A lot of investors like that one. There's office, which I wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. There's healthcare, which I don't understand, so I don't invest in them. And single family rentals. You can look at American Homes for Rent, or you can look at Invitation Homes, right? Ticker INVH or ticker AMH for American Homes. All right. And then it just talks about the areas that, are very desirable. So just wanted to cover that piece of news. All right, guys, we are at minute 52. All right, let me hit the portfolio updates and then we will conclude the stream. All right, so this is the portfolio. Man, it just dropped $200. I was sitting at like 100. It's just nice to see this at 100 and now it's going back down, right? Man, that sucks. But anyways, yes, this is the portfolio update. No new buys, nothing whatsoever. I'm just keeping everything as is for now. I want to see how the rest of this week is going to play out. I might buy something. If I do, I will announce it in the Discord. For margin, you guys already know I'm margin to the tits. So the cash value or the market value of this portfolio is probably closer to like $195,000, give or take, 190, 195. But margin buffer looking good right now. At one point, this was very, very low, and I'm glad to see it's at 44%. Let me go back. All right, so other than that, PLTW, Palantir, weekly pay, NVIDIA weekly pay, doing very well. Chippy, doing very well. It's a play on the semiconductor space. XPay, XDT, they just rise up and down with the market with the S&P 500. So again, I'm very pleased with all of this. Ondesk Holdings, I don't really talk about them that much, but they have earnings coming up tomorrow, so I'm very excited about them. That would explain this huge jump that they had today. But yeah, I just want to see what's going to come from Ondesk Holdings. We do have some distributions coming out as well. Let me pull up those distributions. So we have, excuse me, we have the Yield Max distributions coming out. So this is in the Discord for those of you who are signed up. Hey, Alex, welcome back, dude. So this is going to be for Chippy specifically. You're going to be getting 38 cents a share if you're invested into the semiconductor ETF. And I just did a video for YieldMax, their upcoming changes. Again, shout out to you, Alex, for the assistance. But yes, YieldMax is changing. They're implementing new strategies into their ETFs, which I think are going to be really good. Again, I'm not a whiz when it comes to how, swap contracts are actually done, how they can benefit, ETFs. I had to do a lot of research myself, but basically the net of it is it could be positive for these NAV eroding, NAV decaying ETFs. The mechanics, it's going to change the mechanics of it. I would not be surprised, and Citizen of the Year had mentioned this as well. And another commenter on that video mentioned this as well. I would not be surprised if YieldMax probably decreases their payouts, right? It wouldn't be a surprise to me, because that's one of the driving factors of why they're experiencing such NAV decay or NAV erosion, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I think I think YieldMax really listen to their customer base, and they're understanding that a lot of YouTubers are just dogging on them, and bad press is not good for them. So they want to try to change that image, change that perception. So they're changing their whole strategy to include even in the money trades and things like that, daily in the money trades, I think, or DIT, or long in the money calls. I forget. Basically, they're taking XPay's model. So that was really interesting to see as well. So again, and one commenter was saying that I was basically, shilling out Roundhill, but I mean, maybe I was. That wasn't my intention. But I mean, Roundhill has implemented those same exact strategies, and they've done it very well. So that's why I was kind of harping on Roundhill so much in that video. But that is a note that is well taken and well received. So for Roundhill, we also have XDTE coming out 24 cents. So I should be seeing in total about $421 between Chippy and XDTE. So that's going to be extra, dividend income that I can use. So that's going to be good. But yeah, here it is. Roundhill Bitcoin strategy, 49 cents, RDT, 23 cents, QDTE, 17 cents. So all good there, guys. All right. So covered this portfolio. Let's move on to the M1 Finance portfolio real quick. All right, here we go. Okay. Hope you guys can see that. Let me see. Yeah, you guys should be able to see that. 150, I think, is what I have to have it at. All right, so the portfolio currently is sitting at $365,000. All right, we're doing really, really good. We're only $6,300 away from a full recovery on VGT. Again, I always talk about this one. I bought in right before we started seeing the market decline back in February. I think it was like February 18th, if I'm not mistaken. That's when I put $170,000 into it. And it just steadily over time just kept declining. So seeing it back up to where it should be is a very nice sign. This was scary. $124,000. That's almost, close to a $50,000 haircut. And thankfully, we are way back. All right, we're way, way, way back than where we started. Again, thank you guys for rocking out with me throughout that whole time. It was one hell of a scary ride. All right, REITs, again, they're getting pummeled. This was at like $4,000 or $5,000 the other day. And then, I don't know, it's just REITs have been not getting the love or attention. They actually, the height of this, it was like 230,000 back in September of 2024. Again, it's just REITs are doing what REITs do, right? People don't like real estate right now. They love sexy technology stocks like AMD and NVIDIA. So is what it is. Again, I'm just holding this portfolio. I'm letting it just kind of ride the waves. I'm not contributing anything to it. I'm not letting it do anything really. I'm just letting it ride the wave. So other than that, guys, I think that's going to do it for me and this stream. I think that's pretty much it. Really appreciate you guys joining me on the stream. All right. If you haven't already, definitely check out that video for YieldMax if you're a YieldMax holder of any of their funds, or check out that video that I did on the NVIDIA, NVIDIA proving people wrong, because, because again, a lot of people were just absolutely shitting on data centers and shitting on artificial intelligence companies because of DeepSeek. And I think that was completely overblown. And obviously it was overblown. You don't see deals being announced between Saudi Arabia and Chinese companies that are producing their own language learning models. You don't see that. You see it all from America. Never bet against America. Never bet against American innovation. So with that being said, guys, appreciate you joining the stream. Really enjoyed this one. This was a long stream. And other than that, guys, I hope you have a wonderful evening wherever you are in the world, or a great rest of your day if you're out here in the rest of the world like me. So I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for any news that comes from the United Arab Emirates and the Trump administration / the entourage of tech people, tech giants, tech CEOs, and hopefully we get more news. So with that being said, guys, you guys have a wonderful day, evening. Take care. I'll see you in the next